Collective reading time. I recorded a reading last week and I didn't post it, which sometimes happens. Sometimes I record a reading and something tells me not to do it. But this specific one I've been thinking about since I decided not to post it. And so I want to channel and tap into that same collective because they clearly need a message. But I was very much not nice or impartial to the person that they were connected to. And that's not very helpful if your reader has an opinion, right? Like my opinions matter throughout readings, but like not in the way I was being a bitch in that one. So let's just see if we can get that because it was about like a reconciliation, and I was just the protective auntie in me came out. So let's just tap into that collective and get them a message this time. So let's see what you're focusing on and how you're seeing your world first. How's this collective seeing their world? So it's funny. I think it's the same. I think it's the same energy just from the way it feels already. But maybe I will post that reading later because the way that this energy is now, the perspective is totally different. Anyways, it's not important that you guys. I'm just thinking aloud. Sorry, I'm a little all over the place today. But so the artist in reverse. This deck actually has two extra major arcana, so I'll read it to you. But Knight of Cups upright, Moon in reverse, Nine of Swords upright. It kind of came out horizontally, but then Lovers upright. So this collective, you're feeling very stuck, stalled, and stagnant emotionally. Oh, hold on. You could really be struggling right now with some creative blocks. I don't know where that card is, but the artist in reverse, it's really about a lack of inspiration and feeling disconnected from the things that make you creative. Which in my opinion, anytime we create anything, that's our closest connection to creator. Like art and expression is just something we do. It shouldn't be something that's quantified. I know people make money with art and that's great and I'm happy for them, but I get this feeling that this collective, you're feeling some sort of stall in your expression. It's coming from this sort of Knight of Cups place that you're seeing correctly. I'm seeing this Knight of Cups as external energy. He's on a mission to fill up his own cup and learn about love, but he's not great at relationships because he's very self-focused. And again, that's really good. It's a good stage everybody needs to go through in life in order to learn themselves, but he's not very reciprocal. Sometimes this card can be interpreted traditionally as like a chivalrous romantic offer. I don't see him like that. I see him more as kind of like, the non-committal 20-something playboy. And I think, again, this is what you're having a clear perspective on with Moon in reverse. That's darkest before the dawn, though, because right as the moon is about to set, that's when the sun starts to come out, and it's total clarity. It's when the veil is removed. It's when we're having, it's like coming up for fresh air. There is a Nine of Swords here, which I do see as like true emotional anguish. And it's not just something that's in your head. It can be like long-term chronic depression, fatigue, anxiety, insomnia, things that affect your physical meat suit as well as your surroundings. And it has to do with Lovers in reverse. This is very all over the place. And that's why I know that this is the same collective from last week, which again, I might post a few days from today, but let's get one more for this Knight of Cups. In short, I think that this collective is seeing their love life in particular as an area in their life that has kept them stuck, stalled, stagnant, has reduced their vision, both psychic and creative. And I think that this collective is in a place where they're just wanting to move forward and see things clearly more than anything. I think I think this collective, you're wanting to get out of Nine of Swords. I don't think you want to be restricted and haunted by the ghosts of your past anymore. What's this Knight of Cups? Yeah, Eight of Pentacles. So you too have spent a long time learning who you are and what you want and what you need, but you put in a lot of effort. Eight of Pentacles is becoming a master of the craft, takes years of dedication and adjustment and learning and just really putting your nose to the grindstone. For a card like that, that's generally used or you want to see in a spread about career and life path under a card about this romantic, charismatic Casanova, again, tells me you put a lot of time and effort and energy into another person. And although we'll get your emotion here in a minute, I think you do feel like you've evolved and that's why you're seeing it this way. You have not seen them evolve. And I just heard no contact. I don't think you're in contact with this person. And I don't mean like you guys agreed to not speak to each other. I think it just by way of the nature of your guys' relationship that you're just not, you guys are not talking. You're not hanging out. You're not interacting on social media. Like you're not seeing each other out and about, that sort of thing, right? Remember, these are all important details to tie you to the reading so that you know that the reading is for you. Because I remember the way the other one went. And it ended in a generally very positive place, but I'm just going to have to keep trying to be very neutral about it. What's this Nine of Swords? I think you're coming out of that. Oh, get over here. Yeah, Four of Swords. So for a long time, you have hung up your swords. You've really been doing the resting. And this card is about reconciling the past. I always see it as like going through the memory bank, which I visualize as just this giant room full of file cabinets, and just going through and looking at all of the instances where in which you felt uncomfortable and things didn't align and you didn't agree and you could have done better and you want to apologize for things. It's like doing an accounting in your soul. It's a true rest. It's not just pretending everything's fine. It's not just taking a week off. It's like putting yourself in a state of sort of suspended ignition until you can work through your shadow. This sort of thing takes years, and it would make sense why you've been working on this for years, because coming out of a Nine of Swords, again, I see this as chronic illness and depression. It's something that you can't always help, because from like one disabled body to another, like sometimes our chronic illness can flare up when our emotional state is kind of on the downward spiral too, and it just makes it worse. I know some people see this card as like doom and gloom and martyrdom, but I don't see it that way. I see this as like an actual serious sort of situation where like you are depressed and like you need outside intervention to help. You can only really get to a place where you start to come out of it when you start to reconcile the past and have true deep rest. Not trying to serial date, not trying to constantly be out with your friends, not numbing your emotions with substances, which no judgment, like substance use, like I feel very neutral on, and I'm very like pro safe consumption and all that stuff. But it's like when you are partaking in things that numb you, like nervous system suppressants, like downers, you're not processing your emotions, right? So even uppers too, you can just speed right past your emotions. But this collective, I'm seeing my Queen of Swords. I think you're sitting in a very logical place. Let's get one more for this, Lovers, because I don't feel like that's in your inner. Yeah, King of Cups. Overly emotional, but represses feelings, moody. He can be very manipulative too, because in his opinion, his emotions matter the most. And in that way, when he suppresses, he becomes this pressure cooker. So he suppresses, very passive aggressive. And then the smallest thing triggers him and just explodes. So I'm seeing two people arguing while driving. Which can already be whatever. I'm not gonna even go into all the tangents. I'm just gonna try to get this message out because I can feel myself getting defensive again, like being defensive of this collective. I feel very protective over people who are treated poorly. Anyways, King of Cups, like he's just wrong place, wrong time. Emotions are misplaced, and he doesn't get it. Like you could tell him till you're black and blue in the face, like, hey, you're freaking out about having to stop at this red light, but I think there's probably something deeper here. But because he's so emotionally out of touch with himself, and always in this state of sort of trigger panic and ignition, he just doesn't see it. That's underneath the Lovers. So that's who you're having this very clear perspective over. I think for a long time, this King of Cups energy in your life kept moving the goalposts. And I see this a lot. And I've experienced this personally, where if you're the type of person that's like a problem solver, right? And you tend to lean more in your intellect, you move more with logic. There's usually one partner in a dynamic who does that, and then another one who leans more in emotion, right? Just categorically. Well, when someone is not great at expressing their emotion, the other person who's coming more from intellect will try to rationalize the situation, understand the situation, intellectualize the situation. In that way, we move the goalpost. So instead of two people coming to the middle to trying to compromise, figure things out, work things out, maybe the person who's very emotional needs to do some healing on their own. Maybe needs to book an appointment with a therapist, right? And the person who's an intellectualizer maybe needs to let them do that. Like, instead of doing that, the intellectualizer says, okay, well, I'll just drive from now on. Or I'll just go to the grocery store without you if it's so triggering. Or, like, do you see what I'm saying? They make accommodations for the person who is emotionally immature, instead of that emotionally immature person saying, I need to step it up and get it together. And so eventually, the intellectualizer is way in the over emotional person's sort of arena, doing all the work, but it's not making this person feel any better. And why? Because these problems have to be fixed by the person who's experiencing it. When we're in a relationship, any sort of dynamic, work, friends, family, love, whatever, where someone is going through an emotional trigger, it is first and foremost the responsibility of the person feeling the emotions to do the work to soothe and figure out themselves. That doesn't mean they can't co-regulate. That doesn't mean they can't ask people for help. That doesn't mean they can't have community. But when it gets to the point where the other person's not doing any of that work, do you see how unbalanced it can be? This collective, I think you're finally starting to understand that, because you had been working really hard, not only on yourself, but on someone who is still just trying to figure themselves out. And look at how it ended. From Knight of Cups upright to King of Cups in reverse, he should be upright. This progression of this journey is an upright king, queen. To be the empress, then the emperor, then the hierophant, then the high priestess. Do you get what I'm saying? And it's taking you a long time to wrap your mind around the fact that you can't fix people. That you cannot heal people for them, even if you want to. This lover is, and the other thing that like doesn't like piss me off about King of Cups, but like really hurts my soul, is that the cups are intuitive. They're the most psychic suit, right? Of all the kings and queens, King and Queen of Cups are the most psychic and the most creative. So for your first card to be some sort of creative block in your soul, and one of the last cards I've pulled to be a masculine energy that is not in touch with their creativity and their psychic awareness, the way that these are looped together, and I don't think you're aware of that, the stifling of creativity, of expression, of free emotion, of, free thought, of philosophy. Like, creation is so much more than just physically bringing things into manifestation. It's opening the mind, being curious, one of the most valuable qualities anybody can have. Natural curiosity. Like, I think it's been smothering areas in your soul for a long time that maybe even just now, me pointing it out, you'd be like, oh, fuck, right? I want to see just real quick, because Six of Cups on the bottom, that's a card about nostalgia. And nostalgia can be very dangerous. That's the rose-colored glasses for me. But I just want to ask very quickly what the general... Oh, no, we'll get another deck for that. I want to see what the general energy around this connection is. Because this collective... let's see your emotion... Oh, look, detachment at the bottom. I think you're on your way. I'm feeling a little bit of irritation in me. But let's just see what your emotion is towards this. Repression. What did I say? For a long time, I think you've been doing this, but now you're letting it go. And you've been going through isolation. I want one more for that isolation. That's that Four of Swords with that Nine of Swords. Sensitive. So you do still feel like this is a very raw wound. Even though I do believe for the right group of people, this has been a long time. If you've been on this journey for just a couple months, I'm not really feeling like that's for you. This is more of a year's thing. Again, Knight of Coins. Not that you've been in isolation. Although I did just hear 3. If you've been in isolation for 3 years, we got to get you out of that. But this sensitive, delicate hurt, taken to heart, raw, words hurt, emotional, extra reactive, I think it comes from you not being in situations that are triggering you right now, and so you're extra sensitive. Which again, you don't want to isolate for too long because then that's what happens, right? But I do still think that this is such a fresh wound in you, no matter how much time has passed. And look at all the blue, your throat chakra. One more, just overall for this collective's emotion. Skepticism. So maybe you're feeling skeptical that this is, because this is the only one that's sticking out. I know it's like really in the same color pattern and really goes with the emotion, but I think you're skeptical that this will ever resolve, that you'll ever get that full circle moment is kind of what I was hearing. And by the way, I feel like you're like the energy like this is destined to have a full circle moment, whether it's months, weeks, days, or years later. Things that have not been properly closed out will always close out when they're meant to, right? And that's kind of the annoying thing about full circle moments. But again, there's so much here about just you trying to move on and work on yourself, but there's still things in your soul. I actually want one more specifically for this repression, because I hope you're not still repressing things. Waiting and nostalgia. Stop. Not you, but get out of town. Look at that. What was I just saying? You're trying to repress that feeling like you're going to have a return. You're trying to repress the waiting. But what's pulling on you? Nostalgia. Nostalgia. That's why nostalgia is dangerous, in my opinion, because the more time that passes, we run the risk. In my opinion, there's three roads you can walk down when it comes to time and how you feel about things. You can embitter yourself and be angry and resentful and hold on to it in that way with that frequency. You can just let it go. Like you can just have actual detachment. Like this card is suggesting is already in your energy, or you can walk down the road of nostalgia. And the reason why it's so dangerous and laden with fucking landmines is because that's when we start to edit our memories in favor of that emotion. The soft, fuzzy, the pink, the bubblegum, the, rose-colored glasses, and make things better than they were because it feels good. And we all edit our memories. I say it all the time. Every time you recall something, you edit in an imperceptible way. Sometimes it is perceptible when other people were there and you can compare stories, but over time we really do morph the past reality in our brains. This waiting for change, waiting for you, pause, hoping for contact, holding back, being patient, waiting for the right time. But with what's in your energy, it's like your rational brain is like, that's insane. We have to heal. We have to move on. We're seeing things clearly. Silence is an answer. No is an answer, blah, 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 blah. But then there's something inside of you, either energetically, emotionally, spiritually, whatever, that's holding on. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. We'll have to break it down and see what's actually going on. You could actually be interpreting something, or this could be Mercury retrograde having you by the throat, as it's doing for a lot of us, making you turn inward, look at things that haven't worked, look at communication styles that don't work, working on yourself. Could be a combination of the two, right? This could just be your trauma. We'll just have to see. You're trying to push it down, though, and not address it. So there's also something there that we need to break down. Let's actually ask that question next, just right away, because it is important to know what's being triggered in your trauma and why you're still holding on, for whatever reason. Even if you are interpreting something, do you get the right collective will get what I'm saying? Like both and. It's going to be both and. So what is leading to this waiting energy in this collective? Sensitivity overload, and you got that sensitive. Will show up as feeling mentally overwhelmed, easily triggered or overstimulated by external stimuli, may manifest as difficulty processing emotion or thoughts, leading to mental fatigue, anxiety, and a sense of being unable to cope. And then you got this religious trauma. One more for that. Shows up as guilt or shame for past religious experiences, often causing distrust in spirituality or disconnection from faith. And then body image wounds. So what's interesting is the reason I wanted another one for this is because I actually don't feel like this collective was religious. I actually think you came from a background that was strictly not religious. And because you are now a spiritual person, because again, if you're watching tarot, you're connected to that frequency. It's spirituality in one way or another. You call it what you want. But because you didn't grow up with this around you, you trusting in divine timing, having faith, signs, synchronicities, whatever it is, I think it's always been very hard for you. And again, because you're also more intellectual, that would be a double-ended sword. Like the intellectual and, rational brain really gets in the way of spirituality. If you don't know how to have a good balance. Like, we don't want you all the way off in the deep end drowning in the woo-woo part of things, because being disconnected from reality is really dangerous. But we also don't want you in a place where you're like, well, if I can't see it and I don't have evidence, then it's not real, because then you're not actually connecting to your spirituality, right? We can't actually see trauma. That is like the trauma that's manifesting in this way. You can have a brain scan, and trauma does change your brain. But like, do you get what I'm saying? It's like, doesn't mean just because we can't literally open up our skulls anytime we want and look at the damage that it's not real. Like, it is real. And it's also being perpetuated by you not feeling like you're enough. And if I heard a child of the 90s is what I heard. So if you were a teenager or a young adult, even just a little, an adolescent, during the early or late 90s, early 2000s, like I was, like, solidarity, because the way that type of mass body dysmorphia that they instilled in all of us was incredibly fucking destructive and dangerous, and some people didn't survive it. So it makes sense why that's there. And again, these are all very specific details for the right collective, so just make sure if it's like, hang out with me if you want to, but this sensitivity overload. That's why I think it's both and, right? That's what I just said perfectly confirms it. There's actual trauma being triggered here. This, I'm seeing as spiritual. Both and, right? I think you're picking up on things because you're a natural empath. You're some sort of seer, some sort of psychic medium, whether you practice or not, whether you identify with that or not. You're open to the frequency of reading energy. Both of them have got you by the throat right now. So just try to be gentle with yourself. Maybe stay offline for a while. Like, I've been trying to very much with what's going on in the world, and being things are never not going on, but like I distance myself when I feel myself getting overly sensitive or run down or comparing, like, especially being online. It's natural to get caught up in the body modification of it all, blah, 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 blah. Like, even I do it as someone who's like genuinely never touched my face. Sometimes I catch myself being like, what if my lips were just a little bit bigger? And that's kind of an insane thought for me, right? I don't want to cosplay as someone that I'm not. So just remember, it can happen to literally anybody. Just try to have grace for yourself right now, and we'll break the energy down. The way you're looking at your world, there's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing delusional about it. You're seeing things in moon in reverse, and I agree. I agree reading your energy and being in your energy. So, okay, so let's just break down the energy that's around you. Because I want to see what's actually around your heart space. Source. What's actually around this collective's heart space. Ascending. You are actually healing. Even if sometimes it doesn't fit. And there's that nostalgia. Every deck. Jeez Louise. So you got this key on a ring card. And it's all about many decisions, right? Imagine an actual key ring and having many keys, and they all unlock a specific door. This is what's actually around your heart right now. So why do I feel like you're going to have a decision coming up? What did I say about that full circle moment? We'll get lots and lots of decks to confirm it. So, but many options, decisions, unconventional, but feeling strung along. You definitely, in one way or another, are feeling that way. But again, you have to remind yourself, no relationship's going to be perfect, and you're the one who chose to stay. You're the one who chose to put in 8 of coins sort of effort into someone that wasn't reciprocating that also wasn't growing with you. Do you know better now? Yeah. Is that a long time lesson that was really hard to learn? Probably. Will you make that decision again? Probably not, but you are feeling a little nostalgic right now. So again, both and. But ascending, transcending obstacles, learning, expansion, new phase. This card also says preparing for union. I don't know about that, but this passion, instant chemistry of liking each other equally and having fun. I think this is what you want. We'll get one more card for each, but I think you want something that's reciprocal. 6 of coins, equal give and take, and then camera, reminiscing. This is what's actually around your heart space. That's about learning from the past and making memories. But I can feel that it's pulling on you, and I can feel that you don't like it. Like, I know you know that it's not reality, but you're like still slipping into that pattern. What's this key on a ring? The coffin. Endings bringing new beginnings, growth, change, liberation, in a transition. One more. Hand of cards. Ooh, that's an interesting pairing. Hold on. We'll break that down in a second. What's this ascending? Paradise. Happiness, joy, expansion, oneness. And I believe that. Again, I believe you're coming into oneness and you're transcending obstacle. So that's nice that it's actually around your heart space. And then what's this passion? Because that's about like a romantic coffee cup. Meeting and conversing, the moment, feeling uplifted. But friendship. I'm seeing that date night card in that other deck. Hold on. One more for that. Because a date. What was I just saying? So, here's the thing. This is the energy that's actually around you. So if you're not currently dating somebody new, which I don't think this collective is, because you're in 4 of Swords, you're in rest, retreat, isolation. You didn't get anything in your emotions about excitement and fun and flirting or whatever, but this is what's around you. This coffee cup and this date. It does say meeting someone new, setting a date, getting back out there, planning and setting a date. But if that's not on your radar at all, it would be someone that you literally have never met. Like just a random person. Totally possible. Totally possible. And I would love that for you, because whoever that person is, it would be insane, instant chemistry, liking each other equally and having fun. So I'm not sure about this row, but it does worry me just a tiny bit. We'll have to break it down. We'll have to ask Tarot and break it down. What's this camera? Not today. Not dealing, avoiding a conversation, boundaries, still angry. So, and I think you are just a little tiny bit. This reminiscing, I think that's what it's bringing up in you. I think you're going through this cycle where like healing, reminiscing, and then you're like, oh, I got to stop doing that. And you know what I mean? Which is totally normal. You're not just going to wake up one day and stop reminiscing. It's a pattern of behavior that you got to be on top of. But this avoiding the conversation, I think that's again why you're reminiscing, because you can feel that the cycle has not closed yet and you haven't gotten answers. And the person you're attaching to is clearly an avoidant personality, but your boundaries are up too. So you're not making that first move. You're not reaching out. You're not trying to solve things, and that's good. Can't pull blood from a stone. If someone is unwilling to come to the table to compromise, you just have to let that be the answer. But in this collective, it's triggering you to reminisce. And it's actually around your heart space. This kind of feels new, but so the row I wanted to break down later was this taking a chance, being strategic options, but not showing their hand. And these 2 rows, like this camera and this not today, and then this hand of cards with this coffin, keys on a ring, that feels like the same energy. Like obviously whoever that King of Cups in reverse is. And the way I'm kind of reading this is you're going to have many options going forward whenever you have some sort of return here, but it's going to be an end of this behavior. Endings of the holding their hands close to their chest, holding their cards close to their chest, taking a risk. I want one more for that. Oh, it wouldn't surprise me. You get the twin flame card. Yin and yang, balance, union, duality, complementing each other. It wouldn't surprise me. It didn't. You know what's interesting is I'm definitely tapping into the same collective from last week, but last week there were no soul contract cards because I got this deck and I got another. Like none of them came out, and now they're coming out. We'll just have to see what happens. Be lighthearted, finding things out, adapt, change, and heal. What's this coffee cup, this date, this passion? Cupid's arrow, have faith, love is coming. Surprise invitation or meeting, but there's hesitation. So it could be the same person. I was expecting to see something like a soulmate or... But you don't see any of this. You're sitting in isolation and silence. It's really interesting. And see, this was the point of the reading that I recorded last week where I just started to get really pissed off. Because I was like, silence and avoidance for your auntie is such a trigger for me sometimes. Especially when I read other people. Because I see the way that this behavior affects people and I don't like it. But if this person is holding back and you guys really are this, it would make sense. It would make sense. You don't excuse the behavior. That's the thing that people don't understand about this. I know it's really oversaturated online, that specific phrase. But the entire point of that sort of dynamic is healing so that you don't accept that kind of behavior. And then you use that experience moving forward to heal the world. You don't accept avoidance. You don't accept the bottling up. You don't accept the lack of creativity. Like you tap into your life path and your mission. And it's not necessarily because of them. It's just one of those catalysts, one of those final straws that breaks you in a lifetime full of trauma and lessons that you have not learned. Like you fuse out. Being a twin flame is not just about reconciling with your ex. It's so fucking excruciating and brutal. I don't know why anybody would say they're on that journey. I don't know why anybody would want to. There's so many easier paths you could walk. Like, but for this collective, once you're finally in a state of release, which you almost are, that's when things like this start to flare up. So, hold on. I want to get one of these. And I just want to see what's immediately around you until the end of Mercury retrograde. So, what is that? The end of March? All right. What's around this collective till the end of March? Someone's still figuring themselves out. Something about your pets. And yes, but yes, as luck is on your side. I want one more for that, pets. So your pets could be giving you signs right now when this energy starts to get closer and closer to you. This, what came out with the pet card was like problems with addictions and bad finances. And I don't think you have a problem with addiction or bad finances. What I heard was vet bills like right away when that came out. So maybe, you know, you've got a bill lingering and the day you pay it is when some of this comes in. But maybe you know that this person has a pet and like struggles to financially take care of them. I'm not sure what this, one more for that. It's an odd detail, but communication over that row, that's so odd. That's kind of tripping me up a little bit. Compromise, forgive, work it out. Whatever it is, I think the right collective you'll know. Especially if like, I think the pets is kind of separate to this, but if your pets are acting really funny and there's nothing actually wrong with them, like get your fur babies checked out, of course. But if they start like being real distant, I have always noticed that because my animal of choice are dogs. I'm not a cat person. I'm the cat personality, but my dogs will actually be distant from me when energy starts to shift around me. Like they're very protective of me. So when I feel like I'm being like, there's energy around me that's negative, they'll be more loving and affectionate. But when it's some sort of other energy, they actually stay away from me. It's almost like they are giving me a sign that even the energy around me is uncomfortable. And that's just what's coming to my mind. But you do have communication here by the end of March, or the end of Mercury retrograde, maybe even the end of Mercury retrograde shadow period, which I think goes into the first week of April. But it's going to be about some sort of problem with addictions, obsession. Maybe there's bad finances mixed in. And there was a reason I mentioned that thing about addictions in your tarot. So it probably all lines up. But what's this? Yes. Health. And there was a reason too I went to that thing about health. So it all lines up for the right collective. And you would know this about this person or have intuitions about this person, but you definitely, like, It's going to make you feel very anxious and throw you off your center because that's over the yes card. So just be wary of that. Again, we'll break it all the way down and get their intention. It's going to be a long reading. So just make sure that you're hydrated and have a snack and are comfy. Or come back to it, I guess, if you need to. But what's this? Someone still figuring themselves out. That's clearly what they're doing here. Oh, God. So, experiencing a breakup. And I unfortunately see this often. And it's not okay, because it does make people feel used. It does make people feel like they're being laid over. It does make people feel like they're second best and like they're an option. This key on a ring, now I know why this is here. Because whoever you're connected to is currently going through some sort of split. Now, I am hearing with this that it doesn't necessarily have to be a romantic relationship. It's some sort of rift with some sort of connection in their life, that be family, long-term friend, like someone that they care about. And because of that, it's really throwing off their emotional well balance. So the divine, if you really are some sort of divine connection, source is keeping them away from you until they figure themselves out. Because again, feeling used and struck along, that's what is going to trigger this collective. And that is what is going to make your blood pressure go through the roof, make you have anxiety, make you spin out. Because it's going to trigger you. It's going to trigger you the not feeling enough because you struggle with the body issues and the trusting in divine timing because of the religious trauma card. So it all loops in. It all loops in. Okay, let's actually, before we get into this person, I want to see Source's perspective on this dynamic. Like, more in detail. To see if there's, like, anything. Again, like, the twin flame journey, I only learned about this, like, 5 or 6 years ago. Before, the only vernacular I had in my spiritual awareness was soulmates. Or soul ties. And I think the divine dynamic is really interesting. Twin flame dynamic, because it is so sensationalized, but if anybody, and it is so rare that, of course, like, the rarity of things, I think draws people to it, but it's really the type of dynamic that propels you through so much suffering into being someone who genuinely reaches a type of enlightenment that is absolutely attainable without that dynamic, but it's just different. Like, I don't know what I'm trying to say. I guess I'm just trying to say, like, if you think you're on that journey and you don't resonate with the idea of changing the world for the better, if you don't resonate with being a solitary, sovereign, divine person outside of the dynamic, like if you don't trust in divine timing, or that's not one of your main goals, is to really just surrender, like if you don't actually follow the guidelines for what it is or what people say it is, then you just have to come to terms with you're someone who wants to be chosen, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's a natural human instinct to want to be included and chosen and made to feel special, but why would you want to do it with the divine dynamic? Like, your community can choose you, your friends can choose you, love can choose you, but you have to deconstruct your trauma and realize that the absolute undying desire to be chosen by a romantic partner stems from childhood trauma of your caregivers not choosing you. I think I'm going into that because this collective specifically has been doing so much work on themselves, and it's still chapping your ass, and it's clearly for a reason. So this is why I sometimes say, like, have discernment. Learn from the divine dynamic, but you would never want that for yourself. Everybody has their person. But that doesn't mean you accept their bullshit because you're a twin flame. You know what I mean? Kind of came out of nowhere, but I just think it's important for anybody who watches, like, tarot or gets involved in that sort of thing. Like, doesn't matter what a label is. If someone treats you like garbage, they treat you like garbage. You don't accept it because they're your soulmate. Because I guarantee you, the source is going to make you learn that lesson over and over and over again. And you don't want to have to do it for 10, 20, 30 years, right? Okay, so let's just see the actual dynamic between this collective and that person. Whoa, look at that. Exact same imagery. And it's the only card that's up. I'm going to get a few more, but as that black deck, that's magic. Many opportunities. Oh, I've like got goosebumps. Wild. What are the odds? There's like 100 and something cards in this deck. For that to be the second one that comes up, you've got a huge choice in front of you. And that's the other thing that people don't understand about the divine dynamic. It's when twin flames like reunite and actually are in union frequency, they very rarely ever stick together because there's so much fucking damage between the two of them that one or both of them cannot reconcile the past. They've found their spiritual journey. They've found their life's calling. They've found their mission work. They don't need or want it anymore. That, like, people don't talk about that part of the divine dynamic hardly ever. It's that, like, when you guys do reunite for that last final time, most of you guys choose to not even go there. That's what this card is telling me. You're going to be one of those that's like, I don't fucking know. Because you don't want to ruin what you've created outside of them. You don't want to chance it. It's one of the last lessons of surrender and belief that a lot of twin flames choose not to learn because they're like, I'm good in what I'm doing. I just want a soulmate. I just want to find my person that's not ever going to put me through what I went through, even if it made me a better person, even if it did this X, Y, and Z. Like, I believe in me. I love me. Do you get what I'm saying? Nobody talks about that part. It's like, yeah, they largely don't end up together, but just keep propping up the fantasy. So I guess I'm trying to validate this collective's path because, again, it's excruciating. It's soul destroying. Hidden knowledge, multiple choices, a transition, but new beginnings from some sort of opportunity, some sort of change of heart. What way you go, 100% yours, but you also got the Wolverine card. And that's about something being unpredictable, power struggles. So that was always a part of your guys' dynamic, unfortunately. It was meant to teach you how to stand up for what you really want. Oh, and then you've got a movement card. 2 cards about a storm brewing, though. I knew it. So this is the energy around your actual dynamic and also what you guys have been learning. The thoughts, the problems, the doubt, the hesitation, things being on view. It was always meant to. Things were always meant to be clouded because this power struggles was guaranteed one of the issues in your guys' dynamic. Came from your guys' inner demons, your inner trauma, your shadow work. You guys were probably constantly triggering the fuck out of each other. But you were nonetheless determined and fearless to forge ahead. And that energy, that 8 of coins mentality was always meant to ignite within you so that you would turn it towards path. You would turn it towards life, goals. You would turn it towards your mission work, which is critical to the divine dynamic. Otherwise, you don't have reentry until you're in your mission work. But you were meant to push through the cloud energy, push through the doubts and the hesitations and the confusions and the misunderstandings, the moon upright. You're in moon in reverse right now. It was always meant to be one of those tools that you used in all the other areas of your life, and you just didn't focus all of your love, attention, and fearless energy on one person. It would be teaching them the same thing, right? And then you've got a card about the doorbell card, which I see as like literally like that knock knock. Someone's coming, a surprise, an opportunity, some sort of reconnection from a place of isolation, which you're in right now. So that's clearly what's in the timeline, but these were the lessons learned. And then what's the storm brewing? Oh my God. You got the letter card over that storm. So whenever this comes in, we'll get exactly what the energy looks like when it does come in. When you get this communication, it's going to create a storm in your soul. It's going to be sudden and unexpected. It's going to make you feel like a total wreck. It's going to trigger you. It's going to trigger you. And I said that before. It's going to trigger you because it's going to make you feel like an option. It's going to make you feel like you've been strung along. It's going to make you like it's going to trigger the lessons you've been trying to learn. I want one more for that row. And it's going to come from a place of self-expression. So when this comes in, you are going to have the immediate impulse to do what you've been working on, which is stand up for yourself, speak your mind, say your wants and needs, which is not a bad thing, right? But this person's also going to be doing the same thing. This person's also going to send a clear message. And this person is also going to be bold and speak up and communicate. They're going to want to negotiate. They're going to want to come to the table, right? But what it's going to create is storm energy. So whatever you do for your mission work, there's everything that happens when it comes to the work that I do is always for a reason. Minutes, days, months, years later, it doesn't matter. There's a reason why I was so, and I'll post it just for fun in like a couple weeks. Maybe it'll help someone who's going through similar energy. But there's a reason why I didn't post it, because I was so in that collective's energy. It would have shifted your focus and it would have given you more fuel to dig your claws in. Because now I'm in more calm energy and the message can actually come out that if you are in a triggered place, you need to remove yourself the way that I did. You need to maybe not send the message or post the way I did, right? Do you get what I'm saying? For the right collective, that'll make 100% sense. Because again, you've got 2 cards about expression. Speaking on being expressive with your words, a literal like letter text. Someone fax you, that'd be hilarious. But can you imagine you're just like going about your day and you get a fax and it's like your twin flame and you just like throw the fax machine. But again, there's storm energy over it. There's always meant to be. It's a test. Do you know how to surrender and trust? Things that will always be yours will never pass you by. Do you know how to sit in this emotion and soothe yourself and look outside yourself for comfort in a healthy, healed way instead of just bleh, right? Do you know how to not over-intellectualize yourself and over-intellectualize the situation and not come from a place of authenticity, passion, and emotion? It's going to be a huge fucking test. Because if the person you're connected to, again, is trying to not be a king of cups, not emotionally repress, not kettle up their emotions, then when they come through, there's going to be some things that they're going to say that they're not going to think are triggering, that are going to fucking push your buttons. Like, oh, I didn't realize that this meant something to me until I just went through a breakup. Like, do you see what I'm saying? That's kind of the thing I'm hearing in my mind. Or like, I didn't realize that you were the one for me until recently. Like, it's gonna... And you accept what you want. If that's not something that you want to engage with, you absolutely don't have to. Someone treating you poorly is not a reason for you to then accept them later, even if they have changed. That's your fucking choice. It doesn't matter if someone becomes fucking Jesus Christ walking on water. You don't have to accept anybody back in your life if they've hurt you. It's your choice, right? You're under no fucking obligation. The divine is not going to come down and glue you guys together. Your choice. And this journey literally teaches you that. To have sovereignty over your emotions, your feelings, and be independent, right?